What's going on, guys? I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I hope everybody's killing. I hope everybody's scoring these deals, securing these bags with their agency, making shit happen. In this video, I want to talk about something called pre-framing, which is one of the most important things that I utilize in my agency. What is pre-framing? So pre-framing is controlling the perception of your prospect before, during, even after your meeting. It's controlling how they perceive you going into your meeting. And so much of what I do revolves around this. Because you have to understand, the moment you walk into the meeting and they look at you, the prospect looks at you, they are going to have some type of thought about you or some type of preconceived notion about you just based off of looking at you, right? That's just what the brain does. The brain is designed to compartmentalize things, meaning put things into some type of category, right? So when they look at you, they will make kind of a decision like, is this person professional? Is this person unprofessional? Is this person an expert? Is this person not an expert? They will make the decision very quickly just by looking at you. So pre-framing is how you make them come to a good decision. I mean, the first obvious thing is how you dress, right? So when you walk into the meeting, you want to look sharp. Jordan Stupart, I'm sorry, not Jordan Stupart. That's one of my friends who's also a sales legend. But Jordan Belfort, who, as you probably know, the Wolf of Wall Street, that's his real name. He calls this being sharp as a tack, right? So when you walk into the meeting, you want to make them perceive you as sharp as a tack. Because the reality is they have so many salespeople who come in there who just kind of like horrible salespeople. You don't want to put off that perception. You want to put off the perception of an expert. So walk into the meeting, and that's the first thing. You got to dress well. The second thing is take control immediately. Take control immediately. You need to be the first person to talk. You need to walk up to them and shake their hand. They shouldn't come up to you and shake your hand. You should take control in your interaction with them. You should be the first person to talk. You should already know you should already have a sales process, so you should know everything you're going to say ahead of time. You should be the first person to talk. You should be the one steering and leading the conversation. All of this, and you need to establish yourself as a leader immediately, because people have a very people psychologically want to follow leaders, right? They want to follow people they perceive as leaders. So you need to establish yourself as a leader immediately. Right? So the first thing I do when I walk into a meeting is I walk up to them and I shake their hand and I say, and I introduce myself. I say, good to see you. My name's Tristan Larson. Right? Good to see you. That's pretty warm. My name's Tristan Larson. I smile at them. And then I say, thanks for inviting me here today. Right? Thanks for inviting me here today. That's powerful because that's reminding them that they invited me there. Right? I didn't force my way into the meeting, although I kind of did, but I'm just reminding them that they wanted me to be there, right? That's what I'm reminding them. So I say, thanks for inviting me here today. How's your day been? So I immediately just start, break any ice, just get them talking about how their day's been. And then after I do that, then right away I go ahead and I introduce myself. Or actually, I'm sorry, even before I introduce myself, I say, look, I know you have no idea who I am, and we're also both very busy, but the reason why I called for this meeting is just to set up a time to go over some of the issues I noticed with your marketing. But before I do that, you mind if I take a moment to introduce myself? Because like I said, I know you have no idea who I am. So what am I doing there, right? So the first thing is I'm recognizing the reality, which is that we're both busy, right? That's By saying we are both busy, that's saying that like we're equals. I'm not just like a salesperson who's below them. We're on the same playing field. We're on the same level. And people perceive busy people as successful. So by saying that I'm busy, that makes them perceive me as successful. And we also don't know each other, which is also recognizing their reality, right? So that's yes, yes. I'm making them say yes in their brain 2 times, right? Both of those things they agree with. If you don't know their psychology behind getting someone to say yes, yes, they will be more open to your later requests when you have them saying yes from the very beginning. That's a pro tip, pro marketing psychology tip. And then I introduce myself. And when I introduce myself, it's very strategic. When I introduce myself, basically what I'm doing is I'm selling myself. I'm basically pitching myself from the very beginning. But I'm not really pitching. I'm saying it in such a way that doesn't seem like selling. Like, I work with restaurants from small to big, with my smallest client being at $500K in revenue and my biggest client being at over $1 billion in revenue. And I personally work in my home office in Elkridge, Maryland. Right. So I'm just like throwing that in there, right? I'm saying that I work with a giant company. Like I'm the CEO of the company and I work with that company. I work with a big company, which I do. So that is pre-framing that I'm successful and that I know what I'm talking about, right? And that they should listen to me. I'm not just some salesperson, right? So those are all very powerful things, right? Once again, to further explain pre-framing is basically like controlling their perception of you. Controlling the perception of you or of what you're saying. And my entire beginning of my sales process, my sales scripts, is designed to go ahead and do just that. So here's the takeaway of this video, right? When you go into the meeting, you need to be the first person who takes control. You need to be the first person who shakes their hand, the first person who talks. You need to lead the conversation. You need to have them perceive you as a leader. And the way that you do that is when you first walk in the door, you introduce yourself. You immediately start brief small talk. Then after brief small talk, then you go ahead and you take control and you steer the meeting. You got to steer the meeting and introduce yourself and sell yourself from the very beginning, right? Because later on, I'm sure you've had this. You've gone into meetings where people have said, okay, give me what you got. If somebody says to you, okay, give me what you got, or, okay, so I don't have a lot of time, or why did you want to talk to me today, or anything like that, right? Anything like that. Then you haven't taken control. Then they are in control. They are taking control of the meeting. And as soon as they take control, it is very hard for you to take control back. You've pretty much lost in that meeting. It's not easy. If they take control, you have to double back. If they take control before you take control, which very rarely ever happens, because they are waiting for you to take control, right? Most of the time, that's what they're doing. And if you don't take control, they will happily take control, steer the meeting, and, be like, give me what you got. I don't have a lot of time, whatever. And basically, put you into a corner and almost belittle you, right? They will, it just won't be good positioning for you. So here's the takeaway. Once again, go into the meeting, be the first person to talk. Steer the meeting. You have to be the one taking control of the meeting. You have to make sure that you introduce yourself from the beginning, or else they're going to have a lot of questions later on, or even while you're speaking to them. They won't even, if they don't know who they're speaking to, then it's going to be a weird conversation, because they're going to want to ask you questions, right? They're going to want to ask you questions even though you're the one who should be asking the questions. And if you haven't seen my previous videos, you'll see that the majority of the time when you're talking to a prospect, you should be the one asking the questions. So if some of the stuff that I'm talking about here doesn't make all that much sense, you're just trying to figure out other pieces of what I'm talking about, like when I say sales process and other kind of terminology, watch my other videos and you will learn more about how you should actually be in your sales meeting, how to actually format the sales meeting, and really more information on how the actual sale should be. So watch my other videos. I hope that was informative. If you have any questions about this in further detail, go ahead and comment below and comment what your thoughts are of different ways that you can control the perception of the business owner from the very beginning of the meeting. I hope this was valuable. Tristan Vision out. Follow me on Instagram at Tristan Vision. I also do consulting if that's something you'd be interested in. And anyway, guys, take it easy. Tristan Vision out.